Welcome back to Finding Your Voice Live and Unleashed. It's me, Kenya. Welcome back. If you are watching in the future, thank you so much. If you're watching in live time, please put something in the comments, say something, say hi. Tonight's topic is work paying the bills, but still in your joy? Or has work been removed and no longer paying the bills and your joy is completely gone? It's a lot going on with work, y'all. It's a lot going on with work these days. And I want us to dig into it. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of Unleashed and Live is about me talking a little more about kind of the things that I have experienced or are experiencing, just to share a bit more behind the scenes, but also hopefully offer some food for thought, some things that maybe you haven't so much thought about, or you've thought about it and you need to feel affirmed in it, all the things. So, before I get into all that, though, again, if you are new to my channel, I really appreciate you coming through here. And I am Kenya. I am a certified health and wellness coach. I'm an educator. I'm an artist, singer, songwriter, all the things creative. I do a lot of healing work. I also curate retreats. I host retreats for women, mostly African American women, but there will be more retreats coming that are open for all types of women. But my services really are focused on diverse women. Um, and I also love astrology and am an astrology guidance coach. And so I use it as a tool to help people with personal development and growth. It's a very unique, special thing. Probably one of the, I don't know, probably one of the most favorite things that I do, honestly. And so on my channel, if you look at my playlist and so forth, if you subscribe, you'll see a whole playlist on different astrology videos. And I also do astrology videos on TikTok. But tonight I'm not talking when we do the Unleashed, the Tuesday night lives. They're not really necessarily. I'm gonna bring some astrology always in it because I use it as a tool and I think it's a really great way to kind of mirror and to understand energy. But tonight I really want to dig into this idea of work. Now, literally, right before pushing the live button, I just happened to kind of scroll a little bit on social media and I saw, and I don't know how long this has been out. Maybe it's been out all day. I don't know because I haven't really been on social media during the day today, but it said that Amazon just got rid of 14,000 jobs. And I know that many other major corporations, we're not saying, oh, a few hundred. We're not saying, oh, a couple of thousand. It's been tens of thousands of job layoffs. And so without getting real heavy and having a whole like therapy session going on, I think it's important for us to really be digging in a bit more into self and what and understanding who we are. And I'm going to talk more about this in a minute because I'm going to give 5 kind of top things I think you should be doing right now when it comes to career, whether it's that your current job, you have a job and you're grateful for that job and you're watching other people lose their jobs. So you're holding on to that job, but it's stealing your joy. And so what do you do in the meantime when that is happening? And I see this happening to a lot of people. I mean, I think that work, the way that our country and our society has set work up, period, it is set up to, it's not really set up for you to always be completely in your joy. Okay. And it kind of depends, obviously, depends on what kind of work you're doing, what kind of alignment you have with the work. But I think a lot of work environments were never intended to have you just be all joyful. They were intended for you to help them make money. And we're now starting to see a lot more, a lot more. It feels it feels incredulous. It feels like, how could this be happening? All the things that's happening, but understand that we have a system that allows all these things to happen. So if we have a system that allows all these things to happen in terms of job loss, in terms of people being snatched off streets, in terms of all of these things, we have to start questioning, this system that we thought was here to protect us and give us liberty and freedoms? Was it ever? So it's time to get real curious. It's time to get real reflective. And those of you who have a harder time getting still, have a harder time doing that kind of reflection type of work, I need you to really start thinking about this more. Okay. So, yes, if you're coming in the space, put some in the comments, say hello to me, all the things. I do want to talk about maybe just real quickly two moments where I felt like work really was paying the bills, but stole my joy. I am not feeling like that today, but I've been very intentional about what work means to me. And so I'm going to tell a little bit more of how that process has been for me. These are I statements, y'all. If something resonates, awesome. If it doesn't, leave it on the floor. But I do want to offer maybe 5 things again that you can think about. If it resonates, grab it. If it doesn't, leave it on the floor. But I think this is a time right now where wherever our gifts are, wherever we feel of service, it's time to get off the seat and do it. And so, I'm hoping to use my YouTube channel a little bit more for that. Now, I will say this before I kind of get into this work stuff, pay attention to what's happening with AI, y'all, and not just the tricks and kicks and giggles. You have to understand while it feels like AI just started, like it just came up, it's been around a really long time. There's nothing that happens in technology that's overnight. People have been, it's funny, when I was at Howard, one of my girlfriends, she's a mathematician. She has her PhD in math. Shout out to Jackie. If you're watching this, Jackie, I'm gonna have to tag you or something. Thank you, Jackie. But this is the other Jackie. Jackie Butler, I see there, but Jackie Sims is who I was going to talk about. And thank you, Jackie, for saying this is a great discussion topic. Yeah, we gotta dig into this. But Jackie Sims, she's a mathematician. She's my girl from HU. And we were in gospel choir, and we'd be on these bus rides, long rides, going to cities to perform and sing. We were doing all that while in college. She was getting her master's. I was finishing up my undergrad. And she was writing all this stuff. And I was like, I thought you were a math major. Like, I don't see no numbers. And she's like, no, girl, I'm doing the math for like 50 years from now. I'm doing the math for the technology that's going to be built in the future. And it really like woke me up like, oh, I guess that's right. You do have to plan things way ahead. So AI has been around a long time, y'all. It's just people have now been able to utilize it in a way so it's so developed that, yes, it's not just for kicks and giggles anymore, y'all. It literally can replace thousands of jobs. And I know you may feel like, no, but I have my master's degree, or no, I, had to study all this, and no, it can't. No, watch. It's at the point now, and I wish I'm not sharing my screen and all this, but you need to understand it's at the point now that, like how you see me talking right now, and I'm looking like video, and it's Kenya, and I promise it is me. But AI could do this where I would look just like this talking to you. Like, I don't have to be in this seat talking to you live. I could record and have AI literally look like this in 3-dimension video like this, not animated, not fake, like, oh, that's not Kenya. No, it'll look, and I will be talking to you just like this. That's where we're at. We talk about, I need a clone. Well, AI can kind of do that. We're at that level. So companies are recognizing, do I train my staff on how to use the AI and spend thousands and hundreds and millions or whatever of dollars to do that? Or do I just kind of get rid of them and then just hire these companies that will create create this AI technology for us? And not only will we save millions of dollars, we're going to make billions of dollars. That's where we are. And if you think that you're like, During the day, I work at a university and we were in a meeting. We have a whole dean of AI. That's how serious it is. We now have to have a dean of AI. And the dean of AI was saying, students can attend online classes that are live or come to Zoom meetings and look just like how I'm looking, and that be AI and not them. That's where we are. So what does this mean then? What does this mean in terms of work? So there's a lot. There's a lot of layers on this, and I'm trying not to do more than 40 minutes or so, 30 to 40 minutes of these lives because I haven't had dinner yet, and I tend to eat dinner at 7. But anyway, but I think before we kind of get all scared, I don't want you to get freaked out. I want you to understand that ultimately, if we're smart about this, if we take the time to have conversations about this, we start learning about this, this is actually a game changer for work and how we even understand what work is and how we create actual work life alignment and harmony. There are ways to do this, but if we are not educated on this, or if you continue to think that AI, oh, that's you being fake, or that's over there, that's where you're gonna have a lot of the problems. So we have that layer. We have the layer where the government is shut down and all the things. So people literally just are either working and not getting paid, or they literally cannot work. Okay. So it's still in their joy and it's not paying their bills, but they're still tied to a job. So that's happening. Okay. Then we have people who are like, God, Jesus, I have my job. I'm holding on to it. I have no joy. I can't stand this place. It is toxic. I am sick every other day. I wake up every day like, what? Then we have those, right? But it's paying the bills, and which is what I want to focus more on that. But then we have those and I'll say us who, yes, we are working, have a quote unquote job, career, whatever, and it's not stealing the joy. So I think it's important to hear kind of from those different angles. One, so you can start kind of thinking about, all right, this country is changing. Everything, if you don't listen, I don't care who you voted for, why you would, what side, it doesn't matter. The change is clear. Hi, Maritri Garrett. I see your hey. The change is here. I don't care what sector you're in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, I don't care what complexion you are, what ethnicity, it doesn't matter. The change is here. Okay. Those of you who watch my astrology and have been working with me astrologically and I've been talking to you. I told you when Pluto comes in Aquarius, don't sleep. Just understand Pluto don't mess around. And so here we are. If you're like, what astrology, huh? Book a reading, you see the thing scrolling. I can talk more about that. It goes way deep. But just because astrology maybe kind of indicated that there's a lot of changes, I don't know what the changes. This is not a crystal ball. I'm in it just like you're in it. So what I am attempting to do is to learn more about, okay, yes, the actual human, like what is happening here logistically, but also spiritually. And when I say spiritually and soulfully, I mean more divinely, like what we're not here. We don't come here to suffer. We don't do all the things to become a human as an embryo and all that it takes. Think about all that it takes to have a baby. Okay. All of the things that have to be aligned. You can only get pregnant within a 24-hour period of time. A lot of perfect stuff has to come together for you to even get here. So we don't get here and go through all of these developmental things to be in misery. There's something bigger trying to be shown to us. And I had to realize this. So I'll talk about the jobs that were paying my bills, but was still in my joy and what I had to do. This was years ago. This was way before right now. My first, I went to Howard University, HU homecoming. I saw the homecoming pictures. It just, every time I miss homecoming, I get all sad. I see everybody's pictures. Anyway, it looked like it was amazing though. I went to Howard. I was a physical therapy major. Okay. I kind of fell into physical therapy. A lot of that is because I was 18 and I was an engineer major at first. And I'm like, what the hell have I done? Hurry up, help, get me out. And that seemed to be the easiest transition. And it kind of looked interesting and kind of fell in it. That's how I got into PT. That's bad. I know, right? I mean, I could do it. It was interesting, and I really enjoyed actually the anatomies and the um, kinesiology. Like I enjoyed that, but when I started working and started really kind of actually doing the day to day of physical therapy, I realized this is not fully Kenya. Kenya can do this. I can do this. And I love talking to my patients and I love, learning the science, but every day it was getting harder and harder. And without going, because this was in my 20s and I'm in my 50s now. So we're talking 30 years ago. And at that young of an age, when work was totally different than what it is now, and professional, and you go to college, you get your degree, you go to work, like that was absolutely what you were supposed to do. So I definitely felt very stuck because I knew quietly inside that I was a creative and that I was an artist. And Maritri, if you're still in here, Maritri is my girl. She's an artist. She's insanely talented. Follow Maritri Garrett. Go look her up. Go look up her music. She was living her life as a musician, and I had so many other friends who were artists that were living their lives as artists, and I was living this life in physical therapy that was paying my bills really, really well, in fact. Oh, Marija, you're still here. Paying my bills. I mean, I was able, listen, I was a traveling therapist. You know what a traveling therapist, you know what that means? That means they paid for everything. They paid for my apartment. They paid for my gas. They paid for my utilities. And I got a full salary on top of it. And back in 1996 is when I did this traveling bit. They were starting at $60,000 to $75,000 a year back in the 90s, and I'm 23. Okay, come on. It was paying really, really well. So, of course, in my head, I'm like, this is fully stealing my joy. Like, I really every day think about doing something different, but it was paying the bills. And not only paying the bills, it was paying the bills really well. So they call that what? The golden handcuff syndrome. And I know many of you are, if you're not in this situation, you've been in this situation. So I'm just going to tell you what I did. I'm not saying, I am going to give some tips of things I think you can think about doing. But the first thing was that I had to get honest. I had to get real with myself. And part of getting real with myself was talking to, at that point, people who cared about me, close friends, and being willing to finally share, I'm miserable. Because it was like a dirty little secret. I didn't want to tell anybody because it's like, why are you complaining? Especially back then. Why are you complaining? And many of you may feel like I've got this, great, it makes money. Why am I? So I think we have more liberty now to complain about our jobs because I definitely hear that. But back then it was harder to do that. But what happened was I started having real conversations with friends, not just complaining, venting sessions. Because this is the thing. You need those types of friendships, right? You need those spaces where you vent. You need to just get it out, talk about it. But you also need those spaces and those friends who like, okay, girl, or come on, guy, like, and this was actually one of my male friends at the time. And he, I was sitting down like, just like, and I would just complain about it. And I was like, okay, well, what about this? What about that? And just kind of really having me sit down and think about it. And so I started thinking about it, but I didn't still really know what to do. And at that time, because I was in my 20s, what I decided, one of the things I always really enjoyed was school. I loved school. I liked taking classes. I liked learning. And so in my head then, I was like, you know what? Why don't you learn to do something else? Because this is like not fully fulfilling you. But what I realized what I had to do was start thinking about what are the things that do fulfill me. So this is all again a self-exploratory thing. So if your job is paying the bills but stealing your joy, you have got to get real and honest and start sitting down and start thinking about, okay, what is it that I want? Now, I know I was in my 20s. I had more flexibility. I had my whole life ahead of me, all the things. I didn't have kids at that time. I didn't have mortgage at that time. I know. So what about when we are at this other stage where I'm at the age of 52 now, and a lot of you may be on that other side of things? I don't really care what age. You got to sit down and get real. You got to get real. You got to start being really honest and say, what is it that I actually, truly desire. And I think to really do that work, yes, we can have some conversations with our friends, but I think if you do not have a therapist or a coach, I think you actually need both when you start getting in this space. If it's paying your bills, it's probably going to pay for a therapist and a coach. Okay. Let's budget it out because these are for the people. Again, I'm not talking about those of us who, I'm going to get to those of us who have lost our jobs or who are furloughed or not getting paid with our jobs. But right now I'm talking about those who have jobs, but it's stealing your joy. Okay. Or you have a job and you can see the horizon, or you, or you not maybe you see that something's about to happen and this job may not exist and it's not really fulfilling your joy. And because everything is scary and scarcity is making the morale really hard at work. So it's now stealing your joy when maybe it didn't have to steal your joy. All of these things are happening right now, right? So I don't care which of those is happening. You need to probably you need some support. And if you are making an income, and while yes, we want to be saving money, we want to be conservative maybe, or whatever it is, but you need to invest in yourself. We are not just working to get food and trips. Like you have to start investing in yourself, investing in your dreams. Let your job be the investor of what it is you really, really want deeply inside, not just to pay the bills. Now, some of us, I know I'm speaking from a high level of privilege, right? Some have that privilege. Others are like, I don't have that privilege. Like, I am living check to check. I can't necessarily afford to get a therapist and a coach. I still say this. I know that I have a whole free community where I do podcasts and I do moon meditations and things to help you get still enough and journaling to reflect in community with other women. There are spaces. There is YouTube. There is AI. There are a lot of space. You can use AI. If you can't afford it, yes, pull the AI. Ask ChatGPT. I am miserable at my job. These are the things going on with me. I need to really figure out what is really in alignment with me. Whatever it is, self-discovery has to happen. That's one thing. Now, there's 5 things. I don't know if I said that or not. There's 5 things. But I had to go on that self-discovery journey and get really honest. And I didn't have a therapist quite at that time, but I was young enough. I had enough. This, my 20s, we were having these deep conversations. And basically, long story short, I decided that what was really more in alignment with me, I wanted to study more about community health. That led me down. I ended up going into a master's in public health program. I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And this is important for me to say. I went ahead and I took a leap to try something because it felt like it was in alignment. And you don't get your information unless you do it. We can think about stuff all day long, but you have to be willing to start taking some leaps so you can feel some things, so you can get some information. So I had gotten my information. I realized I don't want to do community health. And I did. I would say I didn't panic, but I definitely was like, But again, I didn't have kids at that point. I was married at that point, and I was definitely in the process of buying a home for the first time. But I was able to still do some of the physical therapy and still have some of, some income kind of coming in. So this is the other part then. The second thing I want you to be thinking about. You might hear a printer going off because my husband must be printing something. if you hear a lot, that's the printer. All right. Second thing, because there's 5 things. Second thing I want you to be thinking about in that self-discovery is the idea of not doing a whole full second job, but really starting to invest in your interest, invest in your hobbies. There's a couple of things that doing that does. Okay. So I'm in my job, it's still in my joy, right? But it's paying my bills, and I'm not really in a position right now to shift out of that job. Maybe I'm not really in the position right now to necessarily do all the self-discovery things, or maybe I am doing the self-discovery things. In that self-discovery, what are your hobbies? Who are you? What are your interests? Now, I'm not saying to go create a side hustle that now is going to pay the bills. Maybe it will. I don't know. But don't approach it from that space. A lot of us right now are working to pay bills, and the only time we're having joy is like on a vacation or with some wine, or we're not really investing in our hobbies and our interests. Okay. If you're doing that, awesome. Please, and work is still stealing your joy. I get that. Give me a minute. The idea is this though: by doing the hobbies, by doing the interest, this is allowing you to create some joy in your life somewhere. That's super important for you to do an inventory. Where am I creating joy? Yes, work is doing its thing, but where outside of work am I creating joy? If you're saying, I don't have time, I got to be at work, I'm so tired. Yes, you do. I know you get on TikTok. I know you watch Netflix. I know you take a moment to do these things. I know you do. Everybody does. I know we do. It's about prioritizing. This is why I say to have the therapist, so that you can start getting a little bit more to the root of you and better understanding yourself. A lot of what I do with the astrology is in astrology, I'm able your birth chart is like a blueprint, and I'm able to be able to look at a chart, and I can tell a lot about your career interest. I can tell a lot about how you go about doing things creatively. I can tell even about what your soul in this lifetime really wants to experience. It goes that deep. That is in one session with me that we can literally sit down and figure that out. So that can also, as a way for me to also help people like, all right, this is work right now, but I also see you have some gifts over here, because you can see that in a birth chart in astrology. You have some gifts in these areas. What are you doing to nurture that? So that's because a lot of times work has become our identity. And I definitely think, phew, this is a whole nother talk. Because of the way work was put upon Black people, particularly in this country, and that work was not a choice. We were labored. We were slaves, obviously, right? And so it's very interesting. There's a book, Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome. I highly recommend that you read it, check it out. Even if you say, I don't really believe in that, I don't care. You need to read it. You need to understand what the psychology and the subconscious and the psyche of work, and how we attach ourselves to work, and how we attach our identity, our worth, all of these things based on labels and titles and work. And we kind of create a bit of a Frankenstein with work, because now our whole identity is that. So if there's no joy in that, and we've tied our complete identity to it, and we don't have the hobbies and interests on the side, who are we? I think this is spiritually why all of this is happening, because we're all being pushed to get way more real. I'm not saying that we have to be all deep, 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 deep all the time, but we do need to get honest. We need to be authentic. We need to still have joy, but in authentic ways, not in ways that we've been programmed to be, not in ways that capitalistic systems have made us think we need to be, but in honest ways. So our hobbies and our interests that may turn into a side gig if we realize, in fact, this is something that we can monetarily get something with. That's kind of what happened with me in astrology. I wasn't setting out to be an astrologer. I love astrology. It's fun. I love studying it. I love learning about it. I took advanced classes because I just really wanted to really, really be able to understand it. And then I realized, ooh, this is good. And I can practice by doing readings. And then I realized, oh, I can charge for this. That may be a path. I don't think you should always make that the goal, because when you start to monetize a hobby and start to go in that direction, a psychological thing is going to shift there. Okay. That happened to me with music. I knew it was tricky for me to do music outside of hobby and make it a business, because now it's a business and I have to think of it like a business. And I think that's what I'm trying to reconcile now with music, is that I need music to be authentically what it is for me, and not because once I make it a business, it drives something else and it steals my joy, quite frankly. But I had to be honest about that. A lot of people have asked me, when are you going to do a song? When are you going to do a song? And when I've learned to really be honest with myself and to really sit with myself when it comes to things that I do. And I recognize that if I do music, it's going to potentially push me in a certain kind of way. And if I have to start to unravel my attachment to music in the business form and really get back to the hobby of it. And so your hobbies and your interests are super important. So that's the second thing we have to do to start paying attention to how to get our joy back while we are working. The other thing is called job crafting. Now, this is definitely job crafting is something you can look it up, ask ChatGPT. Basically, those of you who have the liberty and the freedom and the privilege, honestly, in your work to kind of shift your roles, or you have a relationship with your manager where you can be a bit more creative. I tell people this is where being entrepreneurial as an employee is really helpful, because you can start developing your own projects or developing your own role in a way that you're crafting your job so that it's not the way it's currently existing. You're crafting it more in alignment with your interest and who you are. This is the thing. You can't get into job crafting, I don't think, until you've really sat and done the self-discovery part. Because you don't want to craft your position based on your fantasy, because you might be creating more problems. So look up job crafting. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but I think it is it is one that you have to have a certain level of privilege at your job, where you have the flexibility that you can start working on different projects, or you can start shifting some of the things that you're used to doing it and making it more in alignment with how you currently are. I think if you have that level of privilege in your work, if you have a bit of an entrepreneurial kind of energy inside of you, meaning you're an initiator, you're a starter, you're very creative, you think a bit outside of the box, I think you have to start practicing doing that in your current job if you know that you've got to stay in this position because of the situation with bills or what have you, and you're also trying to get that joy back. So that's the third thing, job crafting. The fourth thing, this one, I say either apply for a sabbatical or start using your PTO differently. Now, this is the other tricky part. This is the other psychology that work has, in America at least, put us in. Many of you, those of you who have jobs, and again, I know there's a lot going on right now where many people do not have their jobs. And I am going to close with a little bit of words about that. But those who have their jobs and you have PTO, are you using your PTO? What are you doing with it? Are you trying to just save it all up for that one vacation? Why? Why not try something else? Why not give yourself a break during the month? Why do we have to wait for PTO for that special vacation in the summer in July that we do every year? If you have 2 weeks of PTO, then that tells me you've got 10 days. So why not? One of my colleagues, she sat down and worked with her manager and basically said, I am taking a PTO day every Friday this month. Just this month. That's just 4 days. That's just 4 of whatever 10 or whatever she has, just 4. This can be a game changer. Again, a lot of people are afraid to use their PTO outside of, some of you, it's a whole struggle bus to get approved for your PTO. Get on that, do what you have to do. And this is why that self-discovery and therapy, because we also need to be working on your empowerment. We need to be working. And this is where coaching, I think, actually is stronger. Again, I think therapy and coaching together are really beneficial if you are able to do that. But definitely coaching can help you come up with those skills and those strategies so that you can take action and so that you can show up at work differently so that you can get what you need. Okay. And so this then request and putting it and put it in well in advance. Yes, if you're trying to put it in for the next day and you're always doing it, on less than 24 hours in advance, there might be a little bit of side-eyeing happen. But you have to really think. And if you are uncomfortable talking to your manager about this, then now we have to think yet again, how have we set ourselves up to be staying in a workplace where we can't talk to our manager. And I know sometimes it is just what it is. And you just have to deal with that for a bit, right? But all of these things you should be reflecting on and thinking about. Also knowing your rights, knowing your needs, knowing your boundaries, knowing what you work here, you're entitled to that leave. So think about utilizing your PTO a bit differently so that you have some regular release time, so you can do those interests and hobbies, so you can rest, so you can play, so you can get your joy. Okay. Those of you who are in situations where you can do more extended leave, like a sabbatical, absolutely consider that. If you are in a space right now where you have a job, but your joy is completely gone, you need to go research all the leave possibilities, because that's now becoming a mental health issue. Work in this country is already a mental health issue in my point of view. The way that we have made work attached to who we think we are and who we think we're not, it's ridiculous. We have to be able to take breaks. I know I'm currently in a position, I teach, I'm assistant professor. And I love what I do right now. I really do. I really love what I do. And I love how I've been given the opportunity to really create what I do the way that I want to do it. I'm also in my 50s, and I've been in health sciences and education for a long time. So there was a lot of privilege in that, and I recognize that. And so I try very hard to utilize that privilege to make sure it's not stealing my joy. I don't want work to be stealing my joy. This is also why I run my other things, why I do my retreats, why I run Finding Your Voice, why I do this YouTube Live. I am not getting paid talking to y'all right now, but I love this type of things. These are the things that add to my joy. Many people say, "Oh, you're doing so much. Oh, you're doing." It's like, yeah, but I need joy. And I've learned a lot about myself in my therapy and my coaching and my self-discovery, that in fact, I am multifaceted. Most people are. And I know my human design. I'm a generator. So that means that I go and I can generate. And for me, generating is what energetically fulfills my cup. It's a bit of a soul mission. I know my astrology. I'm a Capricorn moon. Capricorn moons are the achievers. I've learned all of these things about myself. So I recognize I can't put myself in environments. I can't spiritually, when I'm doing my prayer work and when I'm doing my meditation work and when I'm doing my walking and my grounding, I know who I am, and I ask for God and I ask the universe to keep revealing and showing to me where I need to go and protecting me and trusting that my actions are leading me to joy and to what I need. So this is when the work gets deeper. Okay. So sabbaticals can free up some time for that. Really research your company's leave benefits and all the different things that they offer. And don't take that as being weak or you shouldn't. No, that's what it's for. We underutilize it. They count on us underutilizing it. But companies make a lot of money, y'all. Big companies that have more than 1,000 employees or 500 employees, but there's a lot of money going on there. And a lot of companies, yes, they are downsizing because of all the things that are happening. There's a lot going on. I understand that. But those of you, again, who are working, okay, and you haven't gotten pink slips and you haven't gotten these different things, you need to be right now, even if you have joy, everybody should be clearly understanding what is available to you. So if you need to pivot at any time, you know what you are up against. Okay. Last thing is community. People. If you are doing everything in isolation right now, if you find yourself more alone or not speaking to other people, and I'm not saying you got to have a whole bunch of people, but if you don't have that person or two people or three people or family or what have you, or some type of community where you can be talking a bit about what is happening for you in terms of work, please, please begin to research how you can build community. Now, I mentioned before, and I is scrolling here, I have a Patreon community. It is for women, okay? So it is specifically for women. And I used to have the tiers where you had to, it was only all paid. But because I saw quickly what was happening and what I see is happening and how more jobs are going to get lost as this AI keeps going, as government, I don't know. I'll just leave that alone right now. I realize I have an opportunity to create community. I have an opportunity to help people to be in community with other people who are like-minded. And so my I may not be out in the streets protesting right now, but one of the things that I do is I do this. I have a free community on Patreon where every Sunday I send a podcast episode just for that community. It is not public. It is not on Spotify. It is not on all these other places. It is only within my home. I'm very intentional about that. And don't get me started on Spotify, because Spotify, there's a lot. That's the other thing we have to start doing, is where are we putting our money? How are we creating sustainability amongst our own selves? Huge. So I know if you just feel like you need a bit more community in your life, and it's not necessarily in the budget to fully pay a full membership that's $100 and some a month or whatever, I offer a free level and a $29.99 level. The $29.99 level gives you a little bit more access to me and coaching and other mentors. And then the highest level is $99 a month. And that's where we one-on-one really start to curate this. And you can cancel at any time. So that's just an example. There's a lot of other spaces to grab community, free community. And sometimes our friendships, yes, we hope that they are the communities, but sometimes you need something maybe more. And that's no disrespect on the friendships or your family. It's just sometimes we need other spaces to help us and to be with other like-minded people that maybe we don't have as much. We're not blood, or we didn't go down to Vegas every weekend because we've been friends since sixth grade. Like maybe they're not that, but there's still value, right? There's still value in all of that. So these are all the things, the 5 things, then I'm going to run them down again, that if your job is paying the bills but still in your joy, I want you to consider doing these 5 things. These are all things that I have done in some way. Okay. First thing by far is the self-discovery, period. I offer astrology readings. I'm more than happy that I even offer it now where you don't have to necessarily do a live one-on-one. I can set up a video and a PDF and you can read it on your own if you're not really, whatever. But do some self-discovery, and not just the kind that when you're just journaling at home. Try to have somebody else, okay? Consider that. Make that investment in yourself. Make that investment. Maybe I don't get my hair done this time. Maybe I'm not going to buy that shoe. Whatever it is, try to see if you can go. And obviously, you guys, there's a lot more things to do than this, okay? But these are like the top 5 that I know I did, and then I did a bunch of other stuff. So 1, self-discovery. 2, hobbies and interests. Okay. So with that self-discovery, I should be starting to identify what are my hobbies and my interests and start doing them. Start getting some joy in your life. Get the joy. If it's still in your joy at work, then you got to create your joy in your life. If joy in your life means going outside and rolling around in the grass, that's fine. But you've got to, right now, it is imperative that we are all taking a beat and creating the joy in our life. Period. I don't even care whether job, it doesn't matter. For your mental health, for your spiritual health, for your physical health, you are going to need to invest energy-wise into your hobbies and your interests. Okay. And if that turns into a side gig, awesome. Third thing is job crafting. Go look that up, ChatGPT that. again, that is if you are in a position where you have a lot more flexibility, you have a little bit more autonomy in your position where you can start shifting things. Again, I think this is a beautiful way to practice entrepreneurial mindset because you have the safety of still somebody paying you. So you're not doing all the risk of being an entrepreneur, but you're beginning to start or you craft a new project or you craft something different within your role. You see a need, you see a problem that's going on. Don't take on more just to be take on something that's in alignment and trade it out. Because we don't, the thing with job crafting, I don't want you to be creating more work and now you exhausted. So your joy is gone from that, right? So you have to start, still considering your boundaries. This is why self-discovery is important. So job crafting, that's the third thing. Fourth thing, use that PTO. Use that PTO, girl. Why are we sitting on PTO? I know it's like, well, I'm saving it for the rainy day because I might just spread it out. Promise yourself I'm going to take one PTO day a month, one PTO day a week. Do something with that so you can get some release time. Use that PTO. Go look at all the benefits, leaves, all the things. Look at that. Okay. If your job allows sabbaticals, go apply for that sabbatical. If they say they don't, go ask why. Go talk to your doctor, get that medical note said this girl needs a sabbatical. Take care of yourself. Get your joy. Okay. And last but not least is community. I am happy that you are here because this is community. If you need more community and you want to be, if you're a woman and you want to be more amongst other like-minded, then I have my Patreon, I have my retreats, all the things. You see that scrolling here. Go to the link tr.ee/Kenya MJ Music, where you see free well-being membership. Click on that. You subscribe for free. Or you can get one of the paid tiers if you want just a bit more community. If you don't want any of that, go down and find some community somewhere. You need people. We need each other right now. Okay. Whew, this went a little longer than I thought. I do want to say this. Those of you who are either furloughed or your jobs have ended. Because of time, I'm not going to go through. I do free discovery calls. I have a lot of thoughts about that and a lot of things that I think you should be doing and considering in this time. In this gap time. I think dependent on your age, dependent on your family situation, there's a lot of variables that you have to consider when you're thinking about your next steps when you are in this in-between. And please know you're in an in-between. This isn't the end of your life. I know it feels like it. I know because of where we have made work place in our life, we've made work connected so heavy to our identity and our worth and who we are. When we don't have a job, it feels like we are not alive. It feels like we are unworthy. It feels tons of shame. There's a lot of empty. There's a lot going on there. So depending on your situation, there are various things to do in this meantime, because it is a meantime. It is a gap. Okay. There are many things out here where your gifts are screaming for you to go to. And so I do discovery calls and I also do transformation consultations. The consultations are just $75, but you come in and you say, hey, this is what's going on and we have a plan. Now, those of you like, I ain't got no job, I ain't got no $75, then I say do the free discovery call and join the free community. Do save your dollars right now, but you need to strategize. I also have some other, I have some contacts of some other amazing women out here that are doing different master classes and doing different workshops for very, very affordable prices. Because knowing, yes, people, if I'm out of work, I can't just be spending all my money, right? I got to really decide how I'm going to use my money. But I do have some resources that I can refer if you do those discovery calls. If you are holding on to the job, but you see, come December, come November, come January, I don't know, come next week, then you really need to be in that planning stage right now, for real. And if you're needing some assistance with that, I have some resources for that as well. So if you have your job, but you know that some things are going to be changing at where you're working, then book a free discovery call. Come and be in community with me. Leave a message. Put something in the comments. We need to help each other. We need to support each other. Listen, the SNAP benefits and everything are ending November 1st. If you have the time, you food pantries, cooking, dropping off meals, like we have to this who's going to save us right now? We are. We are. The days of us thinking that these external people, powers, whatever, they'll save us. Maybe. But you know who will really, really put us in a good position? Us. Us. And we have to learn how to do community again in that sustainable living because we've done it before. Many, many cycles of it. Many, many cycles. That was all we had was each other. And we've been psychologically pulled to think that we only are supposed to rely on self. No. Yes, there are things you got to rely on self about, but we need community. We need community. I think that's, to me, one of the biggest things right now. All right, that is it. Is your job paying the bills, but still in your joy? Please think of those 5 things. Share this video, like this video if it added something to you. Make sure you subscribe, put the bell on. I'm here every Tuesday live. However, on 11/11 is my birthday, and I am going to do something for dinner that night, so that might not be no live. But there still will be a video if not. But I'll be here next Tuesday. All right. If you have an idea of a comment, I am going to be bringing people on too to hear how they're unleashed, how they're unleashing themselves. But right now, I'm just kind of feeling it out, having us connect a bit more. So I really appreciate those of you who have stuck in and watched the whole thing or have decided to like it and share it. So we'll be back. You guys be blessed. Please take really good care of yourselves right now. Get some stillness, get some air, get some water, get some grounding, get some community, get some people. Get loved up on and love up on other people. All right, you guys take care. Bye.